It's time for the next episode of Live by Heart
Today
with your hosts, Dawn Spiegelberg and Wendy R. Wolf.
Hello and welcome to the Live by Heart Today show number 21. This is a show designed to help you navigate change, uncertainty, and the new world we found ourselves in. We'll talk a little bit about science, a little bit about how our body works, a little bit about intuition, and a lot about transformation. Continuing our focus on relationship, today's theme is playing your own game. And with me for today's Heart to Heart is my co-host, Wendy R. Wolf, Professional Transformation Facilitator. Welcome, Wendy.
Thanks, Dawn. So wonderful to play together. And so wonderful, we've been in a nice sub-theme of sovereignty or agency or playing our own game. And so now we're talking about that specifically. And I'm pretty excited. We've already talked some, but I want to keep talking a little bit about staying in our own lane, doing what's ours to do, and keeping out of being responsible for everybody else's stuff. Is that a good place to start?
I think it's a great place to start, considering our last show was about rewriting our own story. We can see, and we've both experienced, how difficult it is to stay in our own lane when we're so caught up in our past and the things that affected us from our past and the things that we think other people contributed to our experience. Mm-hmm. And we often forget that we're actually responsible for our own experience. We get to choose. We're the ones who need to stay in our own lane, and it gets really messy if we don't.
It really does. It really does. I was just working with somebody yesterday, and that person has a lot of trouble with being an empath, which is about having the dials too high in some of our experience on the inside. And but what tends to go with that is taking on other people's backpacks. It's like, oh, I feel their pain, so let me take their backpack. And that's where we really get in the temptation of getting out of our lane, because it doesn't help them and it hurts us.
That's true. It reminds me of when I was first married and I would get upset about something, a little thing, or maybe it was a big thing. Anyway, just being upset was an energy that then my husband would also get upset. And I was always thinking, wait, I'm the one upset here. What are you getting angry about? Right? Yes. I just didn't understand it. Why can't we just have one person upset at a time instead of everybody being upset all the time? Staying in our own lane was kind of an odd thing when we first got married.
Yeah, and then you learn to have your own space in the marriage, which is not something that we usually talk about, but it's so important.
It is important. And so being raised Christian, there's this whole concept of the two becoming one, right? That's a really strong picture. And of course, what's happening? You're leaving your parents and you're trying to develop your own family. So you can see the significance of it, right? So creating your own new family unit makes sense. But you got to stay, like you said, you got to stay in your own lane and not getting caught up in someone else's experience and being a witness to their experience, right? Letting them have their experience and then knowing that they may or may not let you have your own experience, right? But you still got to stay in your own lane.
Yes. Yes. And it's so hard. It's so hard with those pictures. You talked about those Christian pictures got me in the beginning. And it really encouraged my tendency to be enmeshed, my tendency to be codependent. It's like, well, we're supposed to live on one island. We're supposed to be one. And like things went really haywire. And like I had to learn to be on my own island and, visit together. It really made a big difference for me to start and I was always up in his grill. I realized, like, I was always trying to create for him. I was always like trying to help him. And that, like, went into my healer stuff. It's
Ah,
like, and just the other day, he had something to do on Monday morning. And I did help him with something on Sunday, and then I just let go. I don't even know if he put it in, what it looks like, if it was on time, right? And I had to blow a lot of pictures about that. I had to like let go a lot, because my
mm,
tendency is like, well, he needs help. But no, he needs me to get out of the way so he can do his grown-up thing of having his project delivered without my getting in on it. Even though it's hard for him, it's really hard.
we should talk a little bit about this, playing our own game, because in a committed relationship, right? There are certainly things I'm better at, and there are things he's better at. And um and then there's the responsibility, like who's responsible for what. So there's the desire to contribute, and there's a part where I'm better at keeping a calendar and maintaining a schedule, which is
Mhm.
helpful, with the kids and the flights and
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but and so I take that as responsibility, and my husband allows me to have that responsibility, which is awesome, right? But
Mhm.
he's still responsible for his own calendar,
Yeah.
right? So how do you stay in your own lane, but also contribute your strengths to the relationship?
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest thing has been to stay out of it unless I'm asked. It's really hard.
Oh, that's really good.
It's really hard. And so I was asked on Sunday, and I did contribute because, like, what he was working on stuff I'm really good at, really good at.
Mm.
I mean, I could have just like taken on the project and had him consult and and it would be done. But yeah, so like to only say, would you like coaching, and only give coaching when asked, and only help when, stay the heck out of it
Mm.
is the big takeaway. And it goes to all my relationships. I'm thrown to overgive, and I'm thrown to like do the healer thing when the job is to stay out of the way, just like with children. We help them learn to tie their shoes, and then they practice tying their shoes. And that's good for them.
This is beautiful, because we can see clearly with children that the goal is for them to become independent, right? You can see that, but in a relationship, in a committed relationship, in a marriage,
Yeah.
how do you keep the perspective of independence while maintaining the idea of staying together, the idea of the
Yeah.
marriage? That's staying
Yeah.
in your own lane, which is what we're
Yeah.
talking
It's staying
about.
in your own lane. And also, to help each other. He's really good at it. Like he really does good dad stuff with me. Like he's really good at like doing electricity and stuff. So if we have a project, he's like coaching me at this point,
Mm,
and I'm doing electricity. Or if we're, for a long time we were doing a lot of back road driving on the dirt roads, like one lane dirt roads out into the national forest. And I would do more of it because he grew up on back roads doing that. And
mm.
so like he has enough surety in that he's grown up in that, and he gives me the space to become grown up in it, and I really value that. And so
Mm.
I've clearly like come along in so many ways in the relationship because he's willing to back off and not lead with his strengths.
Oh, so this is a beautiful thing, because we're talking about somebody being better at something, or having developed a skill, and allowing the other person to grow their skill. So it loops back around to your comment about you waited until you were asked for help. So that's really important. And I think another piece of this puzzle is to also ask for help.
Yes.
If you know your partner has an excellence in an area, it's okay to ask for help and be specific about how much or the kind of help that you
Yes.
want. Okay. Too much, right? Okay, that's
Right.
enough help.
That's enough.
Let me do it now.
Yes, yes. And it's so helpful. Like if we realize that we're all learning and healing and growing and changing and transforming on so many levels all the time, and we all need practice, and we all, and we're all failing and falling down and getting up. And can we be with that?
That's beautiful, because when we're failing and falling and getting up again, when we're in neutrality, that's when we can bring in amusement. So there's a lot more amusement in my relationship than there used to be. I used to be so, empath, sensitive. Anything was, my heart was on my sleeve and my feelings have been hurt and,
Yeah.
crazy. But now it's so wonderful to be neutral to the point where I can take more ribbing, and I can even rib myself, which makes him laugh.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
taking it lightly.
it's fun. It's fun when you play your own game.
Yes.
And so one thing I want to point out is taking an accurate self-assessment, knowing what your skills are, knowing what your partner skills are, knowing what your business partner skills are, knowing where other people shine and letting them shine, and staying neutral. Wow, neutrality has just been a beautiful theme through all our shows.
It really has. Yeah. Yeah. And, for me, what goes along with this is something that I was told in my soul for most of the time that I was training. I had four years of intense training in what I do. And in my soul, what I heard all the time was, keep your eyes on your own page. Keep your eyes on your own page. And that's kind of the opposite. It's like it's so tempting for healers and helpers and givers and lovers for us to be like, let me help you. Let me help you. The shoemaker's kids get no shoes because he's always making it for the other people. Right. And like, so part of that coaching was, well, get off their page and get onto your own. And part of the coaching was to not be in competition. To let them be better at this or better at that.
Yes.
And not take it personally, not feel terrible because all the people around me were extraordinary in their own ways. And so am I. But like, it's so easy to see the other people getting ahead, not falling down. And so easy for me to see where I'm still falling down. And so it's just like, keep your eyes on your own page. Keep your eyes on the, well, we don't care if they got an A. You got a C. Focus on this. So both things, like, get out of their hair and get into your own.
Yes, and that reminds me. I heard a coach once say, the story you've made up about someone else is not the whole story.
Yeah.
So you're talking about seeing their A and you getting a C, and you don't know their whole story.
Yeah.
You don't know what they might have sacrificed, or right. You don't know whether or not they're happy. You could get a C and be perfectly happy inside, a happy person, and they might be absolutely miserable. So it's a catch-22. You don't know their story. So keeping your eyes on your own page.
Yeah.
And you didn't say this overtly, but I think it's important to mention, to keep moving forward, to keep taking the action, right? You can keep your eyes on your own page and then fall into a pit of tears because you don't like what you did. But you're right. We gotta move and fail and get up and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's practice. Like you said, that's practice.
Yeah, it's practice. This. And another part of this is that I have a tendency, and I think this some of us do, I have a tendency to undervalue where I already am soaring. Oh yeah, I've been able to do that for a long time, right? So like I look over them and they're doing this part really well, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't get that. But I'm doing all these other things that like just falling off a log. And like that wasn't counting at all. And that's another thing. Get back on your own page. Notice that how much you're succeeding here.
Oh, yeah.
Notice how, I mean, I did really well in that program. Not perfect, lots of mess, but like I did really well in that program. I was really great, right? But like it was really hard for me to notice or validate because of where I wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would like to make a point about that in particular, and that is the function of the frontal cortex. That is the function of the thinking mind, to evaluate, to measure, to compare, to contrast.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we live by our analytical mind all the time, then nothing's ever good enough. And it can be deceiving because it makes up a story about it. And then it makes a conclusion about the story itself made up. So it's never really in your best interest. So stay on your own page, maintain neutrality, and that's really beautiful. And keep moving forward.
Yes. Yeah, which all leads us to like that whole, we call it competition, that whole competition thing. I'm ahead, I'm behind, I'm better, I'm worse, whatever. That's all, it's all the mental model, it's body. And I was learning to play a soul game. So it was constantly like, will you get off the comparisons? Would you get off the competition? Because it doesn't help at all in the soul game. Not one speck. It only drags us behind. It's friction. Whereas in the physical world, sure, like I won the game of chess. I lost the soccer game. Like it's just in the world that we live in, we are in the world of competition, and that's fine. That's great. It can be really, really fun. Really fun to play games. But and to fail and to succeed, or to whatever, to win, lose, or draw. But in our own soul, any of that conversation, any of that energy is just a drag.
Yes. Yes. Especially if you're comparing your journey to someone else's journey, right? If I've heard it said that some of the best athletes, they compare themselves to themselves, right? They create their own competition. They create their own what's the word? I forgot the word. But it's their own best personal record that they're competing against, and that's how they excel. So competition is a big part of what we do, and we should endeavor not to be comparing ourselves, certainly, to other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the athletes are doing this in the world.
Yes.
Right. But when they're meditating in their own soul, it helps to just let all that go, because it just keeps me focused on, I tend to see it builds on the lies that I suck. It builds on the invalidation, the untruth.
Yes.
So I notice when I get hooked on competition, that to allow healing within that, like there's something wrong here, or I'm not worthy, because that's just a big hairy lie. And so if I let that heal, then I don't care what other people are doing. I don't even care what I'm doing. Right? That's neutrality. It's like I'm doing my best.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and it's keeping you in present time.
Yeah.
And that's super important, because then we're not comparing ourselves to our past. Yeah. We're not dragging some idea of a perfect picture of the future into our current moment. We're just being in this moment.
Yeah.
I see how that's really beneficial.
Yeah.
So that contributes to an accurate self-assessment,
Yeah.
seeing what really is, not what we want to
Right.
be, or not what we've made up or what we expect.
Yeah. It's really cool.
So with playing our own game, we're keeping our eyes on our own paper.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking an active approach to living, staying neutral, bringing in amusement. What else?
Living in the truth.
Yes.
Another thing in my training that was really big, that I feel like is useful, is the idea. My teacher was always saying, this is the game here. This is the game we're playing. We're playing basketball. If you want to play a different game, that's fine. They're playing soccer down the street. Go play soccer. So, like, we set up games like our businesses, our relationships, everything in our system, as far as I'm concerned, is a game. So, within myself, my relationship with my business, my relationship with my partner, my relationship with my family, etc. It's a game that I'm playing, and it's different, and it's okay to have a certain game. Like when I went into my relationship with my partner, we set up certain how it was, and that can change over time, but it doesn't have, just because it's different than yours, it is different than yours is great. You're playing soccer, I'm playing basketball. Gives it, like, nobody, but it's not fair to go into a game like a business or a game or a relationship and be like, you guys are doing it wrong. It's like, wait a minute, this is our game. Go make your own game. But it's so easy to go blaring in and be like, why is this like this? This shouldn't be like this. It sets up a lot of the stuff in our society, like all this pointing of fingers.
Yes, and that's really what you just described is rampant in the massage therapy world.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because you show up for a class, and there are typically massage therapists who know it all and know what's best. And so they're not necessarily at the stage of beginner mind, right, to learn this new or different thing.
Yeah.
And then you trade to practice. So then the way you're doing it isn't the way they would suggest doing it, even though everybody's supposed to be learning this new thing. It's an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Very interesting experience. Lots of competition there.
Yes. Because we identify. It's like, well, how I do it is, or this is how it should be, instead of being, like you said, beginner's mind.
Yes.
If we go back to beginner's mind, which is neutral, then we can actually learn. That a similar saying is like, you can't put anything in a full cup.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Can't put anything in a full cup. With that, let's take a short break.
And thank you to our sponsor for making the show possible. Hooray!
Thank you for joining us today. We're talking about playing our own game, and we just discussed whether or not your cup is empty or full. And there is a saying that in order to fill a cup, it must first be empty. It's very fascinating because I see life as a constant emptying and filling and emptying and filling. And sometimes I'm full of stories about the past and who I am and who I'm supposed to be and what everyone else expects me to do and be and say. And then I find moments where I just empty all that out so that I can come at it fresh and make a choice for myself so that I can return to playing my own game. Wendy, what kinds of little things do you find help you keep your eyes on your own page?
Oh, the most important is to go in myself and be in the truth, as I said. A really interesting place I see this play out is social media. It's so fascinating to see all the different games that are being played, and can I continue to play my own game? Can I continue to, not be pulled by all the crazy? Can I say that?
And
Now
there's so
people
much
have pulled it off.
comparison,
There's
right? I
comparison and
noticed.
bossiness. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Competition, comparison, bossiness.
hmm And
Yeah.
like the trolls, it's like the troll can't get me if I'm playing my own game. But if I'm out of my lane, if I'm trying to get the troll to change
Mm.
or be different or be wrong, then, I just get dragged to the bottom of the sea and in the bottom of my emotions. But if I'm just playing my game and I don't really care what the troll says, then I just keep saying what I care about.
Yes. And that's where I see if there's resistance, right? If a troll shows up and it feels yucky and you're not keeping your eyes on your own page and you feel the judgment, right? That resistance against that keeps persisting. And then it grows and builds and the flames just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, that's where this go into the meditation mat or doing my own work. That's where it comes in. Like one of my personal rules, which I almost always do, is like if I'm stimulated, don't hit the go button.
Mm, that's really good. Yeah.
Right? Wait. Okay, so I wrote this great thing. Go meditate, go sleep, go do the dishes. Oh, do I really want to send all that garbage? No.
Mm.
That goes into my save pile in my email in case I'm ever interested in my stimulated opinion.
Wow. Imagine if the whole world did that. Imagine if the whole world were, writing out all their thoughts, feelings, and competition experiences and then burning that paper
Yeah,
or trashing
yeah,
it, digitally trashing it.
yeah. I mean, it's just so great. Like, but it helps to know, like, why am I here? Am I here? Like, a lot of people don't know why they're on social media. So, like, I'm here to share. I'm here to share like what's possible.
Mm,
Just like on the show, we're here to share what's possible.
yes.
Not to air our dirty laundry or share what we had for dinner or right, like, and whatever, there's nothing wrong with that, but like that's not why I'm here.
Yes, that's not our purpose that we've set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to shine the light. I always think of it as shining the light on what's true and giving breadcrumbs to people so they can see neutrality is so good for you in life. Amusement is so beneficial in relationships. Keeping your eyes on your own page is so important.
Yeah.
And these are all the tips and tricks for living by heart. You're going to kind of laugh at this a little bit. I've been noticing lately, I've flipped open the Bible because we were out of town. So I had more time to do that. And I'm noticing how many references there are to the heart and what they're talking about with regard to the heart. And it's amazing. So living by heart has been something spoken about and touched on for a long, long time. And I think we're just coming back around to what it means and why it's so important. Your business, align on purpose. It's about alignment. Living by heart is about alignment, not allowing our head to take over and constantly judge and compare and contrast, which makes it very difficult to get back up again once you've fallen down, makes it difficult to be in good relationship with people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Or my feelings to carry me away as well, take offense and then be at war, that kind of thing. But just
yeah, being at war, I think this is what I'm noticing about taking offense and being at war. And that is if someone has an opinion and they don't get agreement, then they're not getting validation. And the validation is validation of who they are, which is not your opinion. You are not your opinion. You're not your
Yes.
thoughts. You're not your feelings. And most people don't realize that. So when we disagree, right, it becomes a big problem because they think they are their feelings. They think they are their opinions. And so if I don't agree, then I'm invalidating their person,
Yeah.
which isn't true.
Right.
But they take it that way.
Yeah. And that's central to the work that I do, to my own practice. It's like, can I let in the truth? Can I let in the validation of who I really am and disidentify from all that other stuff? It's not easy, and it takes a minute for most of us.
A minute being a decade, right?
Yeah,
It takes
exactly.
a decade. And then now I'm on my second decade.
Exactly. Yeah, but the fruit is so good, and there's so much freedom in there, and there's so much ability to move. The more I move all this, my thoughts, my feelings, my past, my future, my beliefs, once more I move my identity off of there, there's just so much more room, and so much more room to move and
Yes.
to notice and to have the widening neutrality to see more clearly and to act how I want more.
That's the soul work you're talking about.
It's the soul work.
Yeah, soul work. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have these conversations with you about playing our own game. And I want to thank our constituents for being here with us. And if this message spoke to you, please share with us what's on your mind. Share with us what's on your heart. And for more information about how you can live by heart, please go to livebyhearttoday.com. Like and follow the page and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our shows. We air every Thursday at 4:44 Pacific time. Next week, we continue the conversation. And until then, from our heart to yours, we create a better tomorrow because we're choosing to live by heart today.
And that concludes this portion of
Live by Heart today!
Thank you for watching. Join us every Thursday at 4:44 p.m. for another episode of Live by Heart.
Today!
Let's give a shout out to our sponsor. Thank you, We Are Historically, for making this show possible.